I spent those 5 years living in a basement with Fu Chuan when he was at his poorest in his youth. I passed away from illness just as he made his first 30 million, the day he later became the richest man in North City. I had been reborn. 1. After being a stubborn holdout in the river of oblivion for 2 years, the king of hell, tired of my pestering, granted me one last chance to fulfill my wish. He permitted me to return to the world of the living. When I opened my eyes again, I was standing in a bustling subway station. Huge billboards and digital screens throughout the station were plastered with advertisements for the Fu Corporation. I raised my hand, touching that familiar face above me, and couldn't hold back the tears streaming down my cheeks. A few schoolgirls were holding up their phones, filming from every possible angle. One long-haired girl, looking utterly smitten, gushed, "Fu Chuan looks absolutely stunning in this ad, totally puts all the other young heartthrobs and celebrities to shame. No wonder his company always has their CEO star in the commercials. With looks like that, it'd be a waste not to. Brilliant mind, top-tier education, drop-dead gorgeous, and not a single scandal to his name. He's literally my dream husband material. Can you believe it? This absolute top-tier, high-quality man is only 25 years old. Oh my god." The short-haired girl taking photos pouted, "What a shame he's already married, and so young too." The long-haired girl said dismissively, "You mean his late wife? She's been gone for ages. What's the big deal? You can't expect a young man like him to stay a widower forever for someone who's passed away." "You're absolutely right," I couldn't help but agree. The girl was startled by me. She rolled her eyes and said irritably, "And who are you?" I wiped my face with my hand and muttered, "Me. I'm Fu Chuan's wife." The girls doubled over with laughter, taunting me. Looks like Fu Chuan's looks have driven another one crazy. "Lady, do us all a favor and take a good, hard look at yourself in the mirror." Then they dismissed me as a lunatic, chatting and laughing as they walked away. 2. Their words snapped me back to reality. I rushed to the bathroom to look in the mirror. One glance, and my heart sank. A completely ordinary, forgettable face, utterly unremarkable. I'm feeling a bit off. At least in my past life, I had a pretty face. So, back when I first moved into Fu Chuan's place, he had just broken his leg and was in a foul mood. He'd snap and chase anyone away who came near him. Back then, relying on my good looks, I barged into his life with my little suitcase in tow, full of confidence. The other day, he wouldn't even let me through the door, so I just curled up, sleeping in my sleeping bag by the entrance for a few days. On the 3rd night, the temperature plummeted, and I sneezed over a dozen times out there. The door suddenly swung open, and I, who had been leaning against it, stumbled backward, nearly taking a nasty spill, but a pair of arms caught me firmly. Then, with a look of distaste, he pushed me away and wheeled his chair into the room. Judging by his awkward expression, I could tell his heart was softening. 3. Back then, Fu Chuan couldn't stand it when I acted cute. In my junior year, I consulted a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. To save money and help his leg heal faster, I taught myself acupuncture, practicing on my own legs until there wasn't a patch of unmarked skin left. He found out later. His eyes instantly welled up with tears, but he was also furious. I hugged his arm and acted a little spoiled, and all his anger just melted away. Then, with a cold, handsome expression, he came over and pinched my cheek, his tone still fiercely stern. "Try stabbing yourself again, I dare you." But now, this face in the mirror. I tried to put on a coquettish, pouty expression, then I fell silent. If I went to find Fu Chuan with this face and told him I was his poor, ill-fated wife who died young, he'd probably be so terrified he'd call the police. But, I miss him so much. I really want to see him. 4. The phone started vibrating. I got a call from a woman. "Hello, Xiaohe, what's going on? We had an interview scheduled for this afternoon, didn't we? Why aren't you here yet?" I said in surprise. An interview?" The person on the other end clicked her tongue in annoyance. "Have you lost your mind? How could you forget something this important? This is for a live-in housekeeper position at the home of the CEO of the Fu Corporation. Where else are you going to find a job this good?" "Fu Chuan," I almost exclaimed. Someone spoke beside the woman, and she reminded me again. "Hurry up, there's only an hour left." "Didn't I already send you the address?" After hanging up the phone, I found the text message with the address, then I quickly took the subway to get there. The address is quite far. After getting off the subway, I took a bus to the nearest stop. It took another half an hour to walk there. I was drenched in sweat, and just as I was about to arrive, a light rain started, leaving me completely soaked and disheveled. After hesitating for a moment, I rang the doorbell. The door opened. A young woman's face appeared behind the door. The woman was still in her home clothes. I was momentarily stunned when I saw her outfit. Immediately after, a dull pain throbbed deep in my heart. 5. The woman glanced at me. "Are you the nanny coming for the interview today?" I nodded. As she walked in, she began to brief me on things. "The previous housekeeper at Mr. Fu's house has resigned. There isn't much work at home, and Mr. Fu rarely eats at home. You'll mainly help with cleaning the house. Oh, and Mr. Fu has trouble sleeping, so remember to keep things quiet. There's a locked room on the second floor that you must not enter. Be careful and don't be clumsy. The items in the house are very valuable, and you can't afford to break anything." She led me upstairs while sizing me up. "The nanny's room is at the end of the second floor corridor. You look quite young, and I can see you have a good education. Why would you want to be a nanny?" Just as I was about to come up with an excuse to brush her off, she smiled. "But I've seen many girls like you. After all, Mr. Fu is so outstanding, but it's best to keep any inappropriate thoughts to yourself. Mr. Fu has high standards." I didn't really pay attention to what she said after that. I just stared unblinkingly in the direction of the master bedroom. "Is a Chuan resting now?" 6. The woman glanced at her watch, as if reminding me, "Mr. Fu isn't home, he's abroad, probably on a flight tomorrow morning. Just prepare Mr. Fu's laundry and breakfast tomorrow morning." I nodded blankly. She went to the guest room, changed into a professional outfit, and left. Besides me, there's also a driver and a gardener at the Fu residence. Driver Laoli exchanged a few pleasantries with me, and I couldn't help but ask, "Who is that person?" "Laoli, you mean Miss Anna Chen. She's Mr. Fu's secretary. She handles all the big and small matters for Mr. Fu, both at work and in his personal life. It seems Mr. Fu quite likes Miss Chen." The sour taste spread quickly. I've always understood the principle that people leave in tea cools. I never expected Fu Chuan to remain unmarried for me for 100 years, yet, knowing he has a new girlfriend still makes me very sad. 7. When Laoli took me for a stroll in the garden, a massive black shadow suddenly darted out from the side, knocked me down, and then licked my face frantically. I recognized what was in my arms. Dodo. Back then, when I found Dodo, it was just a tiny puppy, no bigger than the palm of my hand. Fu Chuan didn't like cats or dogs. When I secretly brought Dodo home, I got caught red-handed by Fu Chuan. At that time, his foot was getting better, and he could start walking with a cane. Seeing Dodo in my arms, his brows furrowed so tightly it could crush a mosquito. "Shall we keep it together?" I pestered him, constantly whispering in his ear, "Look how cute it is. Having a dog is great. Maybe one day when I'm gone, it can keep you company." But he suddenly erupted in anger. "How long do dogs even live? Wen Jixia, what are you talking nonsense about? Do you even understand what it means to avoid taboos?" I wasn't in a great mood during that time either. My parents forced me to break up with Fu Chuan and introduced me to other potential partners. Last week when I went home, my mom pulled me aside. "Xia, Fu Chuan is a steady boy, but his circumstances are just too poor. He's an illegitimate child. His family doesn't acknowledge him. His mother is already gone, and his leg is crippled. Are you really planning to go into poverty alleviation? Haven't you heard enough stories about heartless men?" I just told them. Fu Chuan is not that kind of person. He had a good upbringing as a child, but his family fell on hard times. He would absolutely never be the kind of person who is unfaithful and heartless. Not many people are born into wealth, but there are those who, despite humble beginnings, have ambition and drive. They need time to grow. So when Fu Chuan snapped at me, my tears just poured out. I ran out of the rental house with Dodo in my arms. I crouched in the small garden downstairs, crying without stop. Half an hour later, just as I was about to give up on Fu Chuan coming to find me and stood up to peek down the hallway, a tall shadow appeared behind me. Fu Chuan's pants were covered in mud, and his arm was scraped, clearly having taken a fall. His dark eyes locked onto mine, and finally, he reached out, hugged me, and then ruffled my hair. "Good, don't be angry. It was me who spoke too loudly. I was wrong. You can keep whatever you want, I don't mind." Turns out he came after me as soon as I ran out the door. I ran fast, but he was on crutches, and in his haste, he chased me all the way outside the neighborhood. He even fell outside. From that day on, Dodo officially became a member of our family. It's just that we haven't seen each other in so long. Dodo has become an old dog. 8. Lowly was startled and quickly pulled Dodo aside. Sorry, didn't mean to scare you. Did I? This dog is usually quite fierce. Whenever strangers come to the house, it always barks at them. Hey, today is strange, I don't know why it's so friendly with you. I stood up from the ground and looked down at Dodo. Dodo's wet eyes stared at me without blinking. His mouth was panting heavily. He occasionally twitched a few times. I was about to cry, so I quickly turned my face away. Maybe it's because I also have a dog at home, and I smell like a pet. Lowly nodded. That's pretty good. The previous helpers were too scared to feed it, thinking it was quite fierce. Lowly left for an errand. I took advantage of the empty surroundings. I rushed towards Dodo. Tied up near the doghouse, he threw himself on its back, tears and snot streaming down. Dodo was howling too. It was the first time I'd ever heard such a sorrowful cry from a dog. Just as he was sobbing uncontrollably, a familiar and deep male voice echoed behind me. Who are you? 7. The voice sounded more mature and steady compared to 2 years ago. When I heard Fu Chuan's voice, I froze in terror, unable to move. My mind went blank, buzzing with noise. Dodo obediently rested his chin on my thigh, peeking at Fu Chuan behind me with just his eyes. Turn around. The man's voice was overpowering. I didn't move. I hadn't figured out how to face him yet. Dodo, come here. Probably worried that I, a stranger, might harm Dodo. Fu Chuan called out to Dodo. His voice softer than when he had questioned me, but Dodo remained motionless, buried in my arms. Fu Chuan's patience was likely almost exhausted. He said impatiently, I'll ask you one last time, who are you and why are you in my house? How fierce. 8. Lowly rushed over to help me out. Mr. Fu, this is the new maid. He ping. It was then that I turned around, but she kept her head down the entire time, too afraid to look at him. Fu Chuan finally relaxed his guard. But seeing Dodo being so affectionate with me, he frowned slightly. Lowly chimed in to explain, she has dogs at home, so Dodo probably smelled the scent. It's a good thing Dodo isn't hostile toward her. I gently patted Dodo's bottom, only then did it reluctantly walk over to Fu Chuan with its head hanging low. Fu Chuan bent down and stroked its head. You little ingrate, already not close to your dad so soon. He spoke so tenderly to Dodo, just like how he used to comfort me. Back when we were broke, we rented an old apartment, in the basement. At night, it was so cold that the pipes would freeze. Back then, we couldn't even afford heating fees, so at night, we'd huddle under the blankets wearing our clothes, and Dodo would sleep at our feet to keep him warm. Fu Chuan placed my hand over his heart. I fell asleep counting his heartbeat and breathing. Later that night, I turned over because I was too hot. He still held me tightly, in a hazy daze. I felt him place a kiss on the back of my neck and say, Xia, in the future, I will definitely make sure you live a good life, in a big house, and look beautiful every day. I trust him, I've always believed. 9. But just as Fu Chuan was working tirelessly and struck gold for the first time, he took my hand and led me to a newly built beautiful community. He placed the key in my hand, then he pushed the door open. He picked me up and twirled me around the room, then he kissed me earnestly. Xia. We have a home now. I buried my head in his arms, tears streaming down. He had no idea. I just went to the hospital. I got the diagnosis report. I have cancer. After getting sick, I've been trying my best to cooperate with the treatment and take my medication on time, but the results have been terrible. Luckily, it didn't fall on me. I have less than a month left. I don't want to die. I want to live. How can our future with a Chuan just be starting end like this? The day Fu Chuan found my diagnosis report in the cabinet, I saw him freeze for a moment, then he went to the balcony and silently smoked. After a long while, I saw him leaning against the wall, covering his face, silently weeping until his whole body trembled. After composing himself, he returned to my bedside and crouched down. He held my hand and kissed it repeatedly. My hand was wet. Xia. He thought I was asleep. Don't be afraid, even if it's death, I'll be with you on the road to the underworld. I firmly covered his mouth. Fu Qian, I made a deadly vow. If you dare to do something foolish for me, I will never forgive you, even if it costs me my life. In my next life, I absolutely, definitely will not wait for you. I pointed to Dodo lying on the rug by the bed. You still have Dodo. If you die too, Dodo will have no mom or dad. It's already so old. What if it gets sold off by bad people? I forced him to take a poisonous oath. It was the first time I saw such a big grown man kneeling on the ground, crying so helplessly and sorrowfully. 10. Tears were about to spill again. I was about to speak, wanting to say something to him now. Miss Chen Anna appeared. She walked over with a stack of documents and reported some company updates to him. Fu Chuan listened quietly, occasionally lowering his head to play with Dodo. Chen Anna noticed me standing nearby. Mr. Fu came home early, which is a common occurrence. You don't have to stand here. Go prepare dinner. Be careful, I instinctively replied. Less oil, less salt, no cilantro, and allergic to strawberries and eggs. Right, I finished speaking. The air fell silent for a moment. Anna Chen and Fu Chuan both looked at me, especially Fu Chuan. He looked at me with a slightly changed expression. I quickly added, oh. The company introducer showed me the information, and I've memorized it all. Chen Anna seemed skeptical of my words. A professional cook will start working at home in a couple of days. Why would you memorize this? 11. I felt uneasy under Fu Chuan's intriguing gaze. Immediately, I explained, oh, the company has strict requirements, even for a 2-day substitute. You must memorize all this. Chen Anna seemed like she wanted to say something more. Bring me the agenda for tomorrow's company meeting. Fu Chuan seemed reluctant to continue the topic. Chen Anna could only divert her attention from me. Okay, I'll go get it from the car. I wonder why. I feel that Miss Chen harbors a strong hostility toward me. I went to the kitchen to prepare dinner. To be honest, I'm not very good at cooking. After all these years with Fu Chuan, I still can't seem to learn how to cook. Usually, he's busy with work and studying. Yet he still finds time to help me cook during mealtimes. Once, I saw him so exhausted that his eyelids could barely stay open. Let him lie down in the room for a while. In the end, he still burned the rice. Just as I was worrying, Fu Chuan woke up, leaning lazily against the door frame with his arms crossed. He smiled at me, seeing my frustrated look. He walked over, added a few cloves of garlic to the rice, and stuck in a few green onions. Is that all? With a playful smirk. He didn't directly answer, but turned his head to capture my lips, kissing me slowly and deliberately. 12. Hiss, the rice is a bit burned again. I did it while no one was looking. I quickly and clumsily added some green onions and garlic. After a while, the rice was indeed not burnt at all. I set the meal on the table. Anna Chen's eyes nearly popped out when she saw the dishes on the table. Is that it? You're serving Mr. Fu shredded potatoes, stir-fried pork, and mapo tofu. I'm also confused. What's wrong with these dishes? These are the best ones I can prepare. What's the matter? You don't eat home-cooked meals just because you're the boss. Do you eat lobster and abalone every day? Anna Chen rolled her eyes. So oily, and so ordinary. Forget it. I'll call the cooking auntie to hurry her up. No need. Fu Chuan had already walked over and sat down at the table. Homemade dishes are fine. When he saw the food on the table, he paused after tasting a bite of the potato strips. 13. Probably startled by the potato strips I cut, which were thicker than my fingers, he didn't move his chopsticks for a long time. He just stared at the shredded potatoes, unblinking. I felt embarrassed myself. Mr. Fu, I'm not good at cooking. I'm still learning. Or have someone else redo it. Chen Anna saw Fu Chuan not speaking and picked up a pair of chopsticks to taste the dish. She paused for a moment. It's not that you're not good at it, you simply can't do it. It's so salty. And there's chili in it. How can anyone eat this? Secretary Chen. Fu Chuan suddenly interrupted her complaints. You should be off work by now. Chen Anna was about to say something more. Fu Chuan waved his hand, as if shooing someone away. Chen Anna pointed at me and left angrily. Don't be afraid. Fu Chuan still didn't look at me, and he reached out with his chopsticks to take another dish. It's very delicious, and it suits my taste. I perked up. Can I keep cooking for you? He didn't look at me. It was only then that I dared to look at him closely. He had become so thin, his cheeks were slightly sunken, giving him a sharp, intense appearance. He used to be so healthy when I took care of him, a body full of muscle. No need. He rejected my offer to cook. It seems it really was bad. Cooking is tiring, he said. Just do your part and take good care of Dadu. I suddenly remembered that I once said I would take care of his meals after we got married. I should enroll in a cooking class to improve my culinary skills, but he said no need. When we have money in the future, I'll hire an aunt to help with cooking. I'll cook when I have time. Ji Xiaowen, I married you not to have you stuck in the kitchen all day. You have a great life and plenty of time ahead of you. I'd rather you go out and see the world, experience new sights. 14. Dadu is crying, probably hungry. I filled its bowl with some dog food. Dadu ate while occasionally looking up at me. It was as if I might disappear if it wasn't careful. After finishing, I played frisbee with Dowdo in the garden. That used to be its favorite sport. I would pretend to throw the frisbee, actually hiding it behind me, and repeat this 3 times before actually throwing it. Dodo used to fall for my tricks. Later, it got wise to it, but to make me happy, it would play along and pretend to be fooled. This time was no different. When I finally threw it, Dowdo was overjoyed and made a mad dash to catch the frisbee far away. I was happy too, excitedly whistled, but suddenly, Fu Chuan's voice suddenly became urgent, his wrist suddenly gripped. Who are you really? 15, 2 years ago, when I had just passed away, Fu Chuan promised me. He said he would be fine, he would eat well, sleep well, continue working well, and take good care of Dodo. But after my soul left my body, I saw Fu Chuan crying over my corpse like a child. A full 2 days, he was like a lone beast that had lost its mate, on the verge of losing control. He wouldn't allow anyone to touch my body, even I had to be cremated. He cried day and night, sitting on the ground, clutching my hand. He called my name over and over, call me my wife. 16. The day I was cremated, he rushed forward like a madman, as if he wanted to jump into the cremation furnace with me. Several male friends had to put in a lot of effort to hold him back. Brother Chuan, snap out of it, your wife will be heartbroken if she sees you like this. Exactly, Brother Chuan, please accept your loss. Suddenly, Fu Chuan seemed to lose all his strength, as if his body had been drained empty. He knelt down, clutching my portrait, hanging his head, wailing inconsolably, and I, only able to drift far above, was so anxious that I was spinning in circles. I'm going crazy too. I struggled frantically, drifting downward, trying to embrace him one last time, but soon, a tremendous suction force swept me away from behind. When I woke up again, I was already in the river of oblivion, but I had been crossing for 2 full years and still couldn't make it, nor could I forget my past life. Even the king of hell got tired of me. That's when I got a chance to come back to life, although it was in someone else's body. I was already very satisfied to see him again, to see that he is still alive and well. That makes me very happy. 17. What's wrong, Mr. Fu? It's He Ping. I turned around and forced a smile. I am He Ping, just an ordinary girl. He Ping, someone who can no longer have a future or entanglement with him. I don't know, maybe I'll leave this world again at any time, so I can't acknowledge him. I can't let him endure the pain of losing me again. Through his dark pupils, I can even see my own face. Ordinary, common. His skin was a bit dark, and he had a few freckles on his cheeks. He stared at me intensely, with deep, heavy emotion swirling in his eyes. Mr. Fu. He came to his senses. There was a hint of disappointment in his eyes. It's nothing. He let go. You remind me of someone. 18. I couldn't help but ask, who is it? He watched Dowda running back towards us with the frisbee in its mouth, his tone cryptic. My wife. I felt a pang of curiosity. Your wife, I heard she passed away. He grunted in acknowledgement, sitting down on a bench in the lawn. 2 years have passed, he said softly. She's just like you, adding garlic when the food burns. I'm sweating a bit. He figured it out. She's not good at cooking either. Her potato shreds are always cut too thick. You even cook similarly. I suddenly felt guilty. I just saw you throwing the frisbee. I almost mistook her for her. He stretched out his legs, resting his elbows on his knees, and Dowda fetched the frisbee, wanting to give it to me. I gave it a meaningful look. I actually understood it. Head bowed, I handed the frisbee to Fu Chuan. Fu Chuan chuckled. But how could you possibly be her? Back when I was with her, Dodo would always run to her without hesitation. You can't bring the dead back to life. I must really be going crazy to mistake you for her. 19. I don't know what to say, or how to comfort him. You need to move forward. Mr. Fu, your wife would want you to be well. I think Miss Anna is quite nice. Fu Chuan suddenly lost his expression, stood up, and left with his hands in his pockets. I'm going to stay at Jiuling Mountain for a while starting tomorrow. Take good care of Dodo for me. Why are you leaving again so soon after just getting back? I watched his retreating figure with a pang of reluctance. I saw him take out his phone and make a call. Secretary Chen. Please organize the important company documents from the recent period. Right. We're going to Jiuling Mountain tomorrow. So he had arranged for Secretary Chen to accompany him. I stood there, at a complete loss. Suddenly, I had no idea what to do. I've already seen him, with Secretary Chen there. He seemed ready to move on. My existence has become dispensable. 20. The day after Fu Chuan left, he was going to stay at Jiuling Mountain for half a month. On the 4th day, I started tidying up the room, His room was sparsely furnished, as clean and minimalist as a show home. I couldn't find a single thing of mine either. Could he have thrown it all away? Maybe it's for the best. Seeing these things makes me think of the person. Keeping it would only bring more sadness. The entire villa was in remarkably good condition, with hardly any particularly dirty areas. It features a whole house smart home system. I hardly had to lift a finger for any of it. When I reached the locked room during my cleaning, curiosity got the better of me. The lock was a keypad. I only tried one combination. It's my birthday. The lock clicked open. The door slowly swung open. It was pitch black inside, so I opened the curtains. Dust motes danced in the air. I finally saw what was hidden in this room. 21. The furnishings, the furniture. Everything in this room was an exact replica of the basement we lived in for 5 years. If not for the sound of the robot vacuum, I could almost believe I'd been transported back to that old basement. Even the bathroom was decorated to look exactly like that cramped, dingy toilet from the basement days. I looked into the mirror. In front of the mirror, my comb and skincare products were laid out there. Some of them had even expired, yet he couldn't bring himself to throw them away. Back in the day, washing my hair in that basement bathroom, the hot water would often run out halfway through, leaving me shivering and grimacing from the cold. He boiled water for me with the kettle while helping me rinse. When it was his turn to wash, the hot water ran out. To save a bit on the electricity bill, he just rinsed off with the lukewarm water. After drying his hair, he quickly burrowed under the covers. I wanted to warm his hands. He kept his arms folded, refusing. It's too cold. I'll hold you in a bit. Okay. And now, in the wardrobe, all my things were there. My clothes hung side by side with his. It's like we've been an old married couple for decades, including the sheets, and there's still my favorite small floral daisy set. 22. I walked over to the bed and sat down, opened the cabinet, take out my diary. After my death, someone continued writing in my diary after some time. It's Fu Chuan's handwriting, strong and fluid, unmistakably his. It seems like some parts have been blurred by water stains. November 7th, 2022, Wen Jixia. Today is the beginning of winter. I had dumplings. Do you have any there? I cooked extra and left them on the table at noon. I wonder if you got to eat them. It's been 2 months since you left so quickly. Are you hungry down there? Do you have enough money? Are there any other little ghosts bullying you? If so, dream of telling your husband, and he'll find a powerful Taoist priest to help you get even. November 22nd, 2022, Wen Jixia. It's lightly snowing today. It's so cold. The floor heating at home is on full blast, but I still feel cold. Maybe it's because I can't hold you. You used to be like a little heater in the winter. Just holding you would let me sleep peacefully. Xia. Now, I can't sleep peacefully at all. Night after night. January 21st, 2023, Wen Jixia. I'm spending the new year at your parents' house. They are in good health. No need to worry, Wen Jixia. I've taken all your childhood photos. There are many I haven't seen before. Turns out you were also ugly at times. Your parents said that the old man next door recently lost his wife. A few days ago, he woke up in the middle of the night, claiming to have seen his deceased wife, and was so scared that he started screaming and ended up in the hospital. Wen Jixia, I'm really angry. Everyone else has their wife to visit them. Why can't you come visit me in my dreams? I have never dreamed of you. February 7th, 2023, the company has been so busy lately. I'm exhausted, but maybe this way, I can numb my brain that keeps missing you. It might not be so heartbreaking. March 10th, 2023, I'm really mad. You know, there's no calming me down. Last night, I finally dreamed of you. I wanted to talk to you, but you ran away in an instant. Dodo barked all night too. Could it really be you coming to see me? Let me know next time if you're coming early. I haven't shaved in days. May 12th, 2023, Xia. I already have so much money that we couldn't possibly spend it all in our next lifetimes. But without you by my side, it all means nothing. June 1st, 2023, Xia. I went to donate money. I went and fulfilled your old wish. I donated a lot of money to the children in the mountains and set up a fund for them. I also built many elementary schools for them. You must be happy for me, right? My tears haven't stopped since the moment I saw the diary. But when I saw the diary entries for the following days, I felt a chill run through me. April 28th, 2024, the bucket list is almost complete. There's one last thing, hiking up Jiuling Mountain to watch the sunrise. Wen Jixia, please forgive me for breaking my promise. I can't get over it. Please forgive me. Okay, Xia. wait for me, I'll be with you soon. When I read this, I felt a chill run down my spine, as if I had fallen into an ice hole. Is Fu Chuan going to commit suicide? 23. How did you get in? The silence of the room was shattered by Chenana's scream. She was still recovering from the shock, patting her chest. My goodness, this room was locked. How did you get in? Didn't I tell you, mister? Fu doesn't allow anyone into this room. Are you doing this on purpose? I always feel something's off with you. Are you here to steal from the Fu family? Speak up. If you don't, get out of the Fu family right now. You're fired. Anna Chen. Shouldn't she be with Fu Chuan in Jiuling Mountain? Ignoring her insults, I took out my phone and called Fu Chuan. The phone is turned off. I'm panicking, barely able to stand. I rushed over and grabbed her arm. Where is Fu Chuan? Where is he in Jiuling Mountain? 24. When Chen Anna and I arrived at Jiuling Mountain Villa, the hotel room was empty. His luggage and other belongings are all there. The hotel staff said he went hiking with his backpack yesterday afternoon. Anna Chen was also shocked. How could that be, mister? Fu has always been perfectly normal. How could he possibly think of doing something like that? The mountain rescue team has arrived. I followed them in the search. The climate in Jiuling Mountain is highly variable this season. It's easy to get hypothermia. Once in a state of hypothermia, a person becomes extremely dangerous. It was almost midnight. A thick fog rolled in over the mountains. The rescue team suggested suspending the search to avoid further injuries. Somehow, it felt like Fu Chuan was close by. 25. While they were resting, I set off toward a small path. 2 hours later, in a mountain hollow, I found Fu Chuan, who had already lost consciousness. His leg is injured. I lifted him up. The advantages of this body are now evident, strong and capable of easily carrying someone like Fu Chuan, who is 189 meters tall. The moon in the mountains illuminated our path forward. I called out his name, Chuan. Don't fall asleep, you promised me. If you dare to fall asleep, I swear I will never talk to you again. If you dare to come find me, I dare to reincarnate right away. I'll reincarnate and grow up, and I'll marry someone else. Don't marry someone else. The person on my back stirred, his voice hoarse, and his consciousness seemed hazy. Xia, this must be another dream. This dream is too good. I hope I never wake up. 26, I said with a sob, you must wake up. You have to take care of my parents. Take care of Dodo. Fu Chuan, you promised me. You can't go back on your word. I carried him to the nearest woodland cabin along the path. After notifying the rescue team, I started a fire and gave him some supplements to regain his strength. His mouth was clamped shut, his thin lips were pressed tightly together, his eyelashes cast a dark, bluish shadow across his face. Left with no choice, I took a mouthful of the supplement, leaned down, and forced it into his mouth. His lips were dry, mine were cold. As I pried his mouth open, his Adam's apple bobbed. He finally managed to swallow it. I did the same. I fed him an entire can of supplements. His body was gradually warming up. Just as I finished feeding him the last spoonful and stood up, his hands suddenly rose and pressed against the nape of my neck, forcing us to deepen the kiss. Our lips and tongues met, entwining and chasing one another. I was crying, and so was he. But later, he briefly lost consciousness from exhaustion. The rescue team had also arrived. Anna Chen rushed over, tears streaming down her face like rain-drenched pear blossoms, seemingly genuinely worried about Fu Chuan. 27. Fu Chuan was hospitalized. It seemed he thought what happened in the cabin was just a dream. I went with the driver to see him, but Anna Chen stopped me. It wasn't as tense as before, but there was still hostility. I don't know what you're trying to do, and I thank you for saving Mr. Fu yesterday, but you need to understand. Your actions have gone far beyond the scope of your duties. She pulled out a thick stack of envelopes. There's 50,000 yuan inside, as a thank you for saving Mr. Fu. However, you've been fired. I didn't take it. I glanced at him from afar through the window and left. 28. Fu Chuan. He had a very, very long dream. He dreamed that Xia had returned. He also dreamed that she leaned down to kiss him. He also dreamed of her scolding him through tears, saying that if he kept being so stubborn, she would marry someone else. He wouldn't allow it. If she really married someone else, he would be consumed with jealousy. This wasn't actually the first time he had thought about ending it all. The first time, it was shortly after Xia's burial. He stood on the rooftop, gazing at the bustling traffic below, just about to dive in headfirst. Someone grabbed his hand. It was a little girl, with a round face, holding a rubber band. Her eyes looked just like Xia's. She told me, brother, if we fall like this, we'll break into pieces. It would definitely be ugly, your family would surely be heartbroken, yeah, definitely fucking ugly, Shasha loves touching his face the most, if he's too ugly. She will definitely. 29. Later, he found a wish list in Shasha's diary. That's all he wanted to do with me, he had to finish these tasks first, that way, she might be less angry with him when he sees her again. This busy period lasted for 2 years, he felt time was dragging on forever. When Jixia, the days without you were the longest and most agonizing in the world. That day when he got home, he was shocked to see a woman in his house. She was holding Dodo. Dodo's gaze is so gentle. He thought to himself, this woman, she actually bore a slight resemblance to his wife, 30. In reality, their looks and figures were completely different, yet for some reason, he just felt in his heart, this person, she was the reincarnation of his late wife, but he couldn't say it out loud. He was afraid of frightening her. He was also afraid that he was only having such thoughts because he was going mad. It wasn't until after she had finished cooking the meal and thrown the frisbee that he was completely and utterly certain that was when Jixia. But she didn't seem to have any intention of acknowledging him. She even wanted to set him up with another woman. How could there be 2 people in the world with identical habits and mannerisms? He was utterly bewildered. He had to hurry to Jiuling Mountain. He needed to ask the master if when Jixia had returned. If so, he must fulfill his vow without delay, and then hide her away. 31. The master is in seclusion. On the 3rd day, when I saw the master simply told him, it feels like an old friend has returned, that's it. Then, he knelt in the temple, kowtowing again and again. He was so overjoyed he didn't know what to do with his hands and feet. There's no signal in the mountains. On his way down the mountain, he accidentally slipped into a ravine, hit his head, and broke his leg. He also lost consciousness. In a haze, it seemed like someone was carrying him. She cried and begged me to live well. He too wanted to live well, but she didn't understand. The only meaning in his life that kept him going until today was her. Make money, buy a big house, everything is for her. She is the driving force behind his journey. And now, he lost his heart. How can he survive? 32. After waking up in the hospital, that's when he found out. Chen Anna actually fired her behind his back. He flew into a huge rage, got up from the bed, but fell to the ground. Chen Anna was so scared that she froze in place. When he was helped back to bed by the caregiver, Chen Anna started to cry. Mr. Fu, I've been with you for 2 years. How could you treat me like this just because of a nanny? He pointed to the door. My secretary team isn't just you. The others are delayed abroad due to a major contract. The recent opportunity to be by my side is only because Secretary Liu likes you and privately asked me to give you more chances to prove yourself. But I noticed on the surveillance footage the day I returned that you seemed to have deliberately changed clothes in my house and hidden a bra in the room, didn't you? Who are you trying to impress with this? He mercilessly mocked her, his eyes filled with disgust. You're not even worth a single strand of my wife's hair, Anna Chen. But what does this have to do with that caregiver? He couldn't be bothered to explain, pointing to the door. Get out. You're fired. 33. He couldn't wait to have someone bring over his crutches and then go home. He desperately kept calling her, but the phone call didn't go through. He sent someone to look for her. He was even prepared to call the police, but no one believed that person was her deceased wife. A bad thought suddenly arose in his mind. Could she have disappeared again? Fu Chuan was pacing around the room like a madman. He saw Dodo, restless and agitated in the room, let go of the leash holding Dodo. Dodo darted off in a flash. 34. In the end, Dodo found her in a small garden near their home, just like that year when they had an argument. She turned and ran off. He found her in the small garden as well. Now she was squatting by the flower bed, watching ants fight. Despite their strikingly different appearances, he still firmly believed, this person is Wen Jixia. Xia. Wen Jixia flinched. She turned her head reflexively, eyes wide with shock. Just the same as before. The kind of person who can't hide anything, like finding money. 35. Wen Jixia. I followed Fu Chuan back home. We sat in the room he had arranged, leaning on each other. It felt like we were back in those old days again. We watched the movie playing on the projector. We didn't talk much, but somehow, I felt at ease. I don't know if it's because I'm a revenant, but I'm not the least bit sleepy at night. Fu Chuan took some painkillers and fell asleep quickly. His arm stayed tightly around me, refusing to let go even in his sleep. The 7th day is almost here. I have a vague feeling that I'm about to leave. Fu Chuan and I had another simple home-cooked meal together, then crawled back into bed. I gave him his medicine. After a while, he suddenly asked me, "Are you still leaving?" I nodded, "Yes, these are the few days I've stolen." I nestled against his chest and poked his face. "You remember not to cry anymore in the future. I can see it, and when I do, I just get so anxious." He hummed in agreement. I continued to ramble on. "Promise me one more thing." He paused for a moment and agreed. I turned his face towards mine and looked into his eyes. His eyes were red-rimmed. "Every summer from now on, you'll go and see the sea for me, taking my photo to see every different sea in the world." He was crying uncontrollably. My body was growing lighter and lighter. He leaned down and kissed my lips. "Xia, don't leave. Xia, I love you." "Me too, Chuan. I hope you cherish the days ahead and continue to live well." Finally, I disappeared into that room, but I knew, he definitely won't be as troubled as he used to be. 36. Side story. What on earth are you so upset about? I squatted at the head of the Naiha Bridge, scolding a man who refused to cross the river. "Do you want to be a squatter like me? Now you're stuck here, being punished to help ferry people across." The man exclaimed. "How long will the punishment last?" I said, "I don't know. Maybe 100 years, just wait. Wait until Chuan's life ends and he comes down. I'll be reincarnated with him." The man quickly gulped down the mangpa soup. "I'd rather not." Mangpa and I couldn't stop laughing as we watched the man's fleeing back. When Jixia, suddenly, someone called out a name from the bridge, my eyes instantly welled up with tears. "Only 10 years, Fu Chuan." "You," Fu Chuan smiled faintly, "died of old age." "I don't believe it," the lady of the bridge whispered to me. "He's telling the truth. Yesterday, he saved 3 drowning children, fulfilled his merits, and passed away peacefully." Only then did I stop being angry, wiping away tears. She reached out to him from a distance. "Let's go. I've been waiting for you for so long." He stepped forward and took her hand. He hugged her, his eyes filled with affection and clinginess. "I've been waiting for so long too, wife." Story 2. After being delayed by Zhuang Qiyan's ambiguous attitude for 3 years, Shang Rui, the Buddhist disciple from Maoqing who had no prior connection with me, suddenly made a high-profile confession and forcefully took me away from Zhuang Qiyan. Shang Rui gave me everything, but he just refused to marry me and also refused to let me go. During our entanglement, I discovered that Shang Rui was actually the mastermind behind my father's death. And Zhuang Qiyan was the brother without blood relation that I had never been willing to admit. After I laid out the truth, Shang Rui destroyed Zhuang Qiyan's reputation and career just to force me to continue relying on him. Zhuang Qiyan jumped into the sea, and Shang Rui had someone hypnotize me, making me believe that I was the one who caused Zhuang Qiyan's death. Bearing the guilt, I lost my mind and followed Zhuang Qiyan in death. After being reborn, I degenerated into the person Shang Rui hates the most, but he still intruded into my life. I squinted my eyes and grabbed his tie. "I challenge you to a game of contractual marriage for 3 months. Do you dare? Since I can't avoid it, this time, I'll take what I want by force." 1. I was entangled with Zhuang Qiyan for 3 years, with a faint ambiguity and careful mutual, until a bright and beautiful girl like a rose appeared by his side. She hooked her arm around Zhuang Qiyan's and sized me up. With a smile, she teased, "Senior, so this is your ideal type." Zhuang Qiyan was embarrassed and at a loss. He coughed twice and said, "Lin Li and I are just colleagues." The grievances welled up like a tide, choking my breath. For a full 3 years, in his words, we were just colleagues. The coat he put on my shoulders during overtime. The ease where we took shelter from the rain together when it rained. The warmth of our fingers interlaced during team building. All of these seemed to mean nothing. The rose affectionately grabbed my hand. "Senior is really a blockhead. The way you speak makes her so embarrassed." I stubbornly pursed my lips and smiled, trying my best not to show that I cared too much. In the most miserable year of my life, Shang Rui, who suddenly appeared, gave me a love that was like a home invasion. He directly announced at the welcoming banquet Zhuang Qiyan held for the rose that I was his girlfriend. In fact, I had only met him once, and we weren't even friends. I was dragged by Shang Rui and stuffed into a luxury car in front of Zhuang Qiyan. The next second, he tugged off the necklace around my neck. My heart tightened, and I instinctively protected it. "No, he gave it to you, right?" Shang Rui's fingertips brushed over the skin rubbed red by the necklace. And he threw it away without hesitation. When his kiss landed, I even felt a sense of revenge from Zhuang Qiyan's stinging gaze. Shang Rui cupped my chin. preventing me from looking at Zhuang Qian. Don't look at him, look at me. At that time, I thought that either Shang Rui was standing up for the injustice or he had lost at the game of truth or dare, but he was extremely serious and really presented everything in front of me. At that time, someone told me that Shang Rui had a crush on me when he was in college, in places I couldn't even notice. He had done so much, the good and the bad, from keeping the seat for me in the library to deliberately ruining Zhuang Qian's external cooperation project and becoming the only partner and source of funds for the company. His appearance was like a sudden storm. I accepted him before I could sort out my thoughts. Everyone praised me for being lucky. The things I couldn't get even after suffering grievances with Zhuang Qian, Shang Rui gave me without reservation. I was happy and content. Shang Rui invited all the colleagues in the company and held a grand birthday banquet for me. Shang Rui dragged me to toast everywhere. His hand tightly around me trembled with excitement, as if he was holding a treasure that he had finally obtained. Be careful, Shang Rui will stop at nothing. I'm afraid he'll hurt you. Zhuang Qian came to me when I was alone. There was a hint of bitterness in his smile. I'm not trying to sow discord, nor am I jealous. I looked at him and smiled faintly. Thank you. My calmness made him even more embarrassed than sarcasm. Zhuang Qian clenched the necklace that had been thrown away in his palm. He hesitated to speak and finally forced a pale smile. He slowly raised his glass. I wish you happiness. Shang Rui suddenly appeared and put his arm around my waist. Pulling me into his arms, as if by accident, he knocked over the wine glass in my hand. Both of us were stained with dark red wine, but I instinctively wiped Shang Rui first. After wiping twice, I realized that Shang Rui did it on purpose. There was no need for an explanation. Zhuang Qian understood everything. Shang Rui never mentioned the future to me, and it seemed that he had no plans to get married. I thought we were still young, and there was no need to rush such things. It would happen naturally, until I heard his brothers teasing him and asking when he would marry me. Shang Rui just responded indifferently. I'm tired of her. I thought she was the moon that I couldn't reach, but it's just a stone after I got her. There was a burst of laughter. You insisted on picking the moon, but you don't want it now. What about Linley? Shang Rui leaned on the sofa, looking lazy. When I'm completely tired of her. If Zhuang Qian still wants her, I'll give her back to him. There was another burst of laughter. You're so bad. Are you doing garbage recycling here? I stood there, and my heart was torn into countless pieces. Linley is so beautiful. Instead of giving her back to Zhuang Qian, why don't we set a trap and let our brother take advantage of it? The fertilizer doesn't flow to outsiders. There was a crisp sound of a glass bottle breaking, and the person inside held his head and held. Shang Rui's voice was calm without a trace of emotion. I'll pay for your medical expenses. Don't have any ideas about Linley in the future. 2. When I confronted Shang Rui, I thought he would act out a bitter scene of regret as usual, but he was surprisingly calm and silently helped me pack my luggage. I felt uncomfortable, but I suppressed my emotions. We're all adults, and everyone has to take responsibility for their choices. I chose Shang Rui. At least he was nice to me before. We should part ways amicably. And I can't blame anyone. Before leaving, I asked Shang Rui if he had anything to say to me. Shang Rui ruffled his hair and sneered, full of evil charm. If you find out that the last words I said to you are my last words, will you remember it for a lifetime? I couldn't stop trembling. Shang Rui was full of possessiveness. He could give me up immediately when he was tired of me, but I can't leave him. He offered to take me to Zhuang Qian. Zhuang Qian and the Rose were kissing in the office. The design draft I left behind was crumpled during their tussle. Shang Rui glanced at me, with a playful smile on his lips. There was contempt and mockery in his eyes, as if he was enjoying the feeling of controlling everything. Let's go home. He reached out to drag my suitcase, but I instinctively avoided him. There was a commotion inside. Zhuang Qian pushed the Rose away and clumsily picked up the scattered design drafts on the floor while wiping the lipstick off his lips. Zhuang Qian. What do you mean? The girl was so proactive, and you actually pushed me away. The Rose lost her previous calmness and was furious. Do you still like Linley? Zhuang Qian's hand trembled. It has nothing to do with Linley. He unconsciously clenched his palm and rubbed the scar on his hand. Yes, if Linley knew that her brother without blood relation had a crush on her for so many years and even caused her to lose her home, she would hate you to the bone. The Rose sneered and lifted his chin with her knee. You love her, but you don't dare to admit it. Zhuang Qian's Adam's apple rolled, and his hand holding the design draft trembled slightly. The rose leaned in again and kissed his lips forcefully. You can treat me as a substitute for Linley. I don't care. My pupils shook like an earthquake. And then I turned my head to avoid the sight. Shang Rui reached out again to drag my suitcase. And this time I didn't resist. Linley, let's go home. A kiss landed on my forehead. With his usual dominance and absolute possessiveness, I suddenly looked up into his eyes and caught a trace of cunning that he didn't have time to hide. Shang Rui, did you already know about this and deliberately brought me here to see it? Then you should thank me for helping you get out of this messy relationship that can't see the light. Shang Rui put his arm around my waist, with his chin resting on my shoulder. His voice was particularly low and ambiguous in my ear. As long as the result is good, it doesn't matter what means are used. 3. I didn't know I had a brother until I was 6 years old. Since he showed up at the door with a shabby suitcase, my originally harmonious family was filled with quarrels. Someone told me that my mother couldn't conceive a baby, so she adopted my brother from the orphanage. My brother was just getting used to life at home. Before the formal adoption procedures were completed, my mother got pregnant with me, so she changed her mind and didn't want my brother anymore. My father had no choice but to send my brother back to the orphanage, but he had been sponsoring him all these years, until he came back with a suitcase again. My father wanted to keep him, but my mother insisted on driving him away. My brother and I were eating outside while my parents were arguing in the inner room with the door closed. I shrank my neck in fear, and tears rolled into my rice bowl. My brother was like a heartless eating machine, shoveling food into his mouth, indifferent to everything happening at home. The result of the quarrel was that my mother dragged me back to her parents' home. A month later, my father finally came to pick us up, but my brother silently followed behind him, like an annoying shadow. Sure enough, my parents had another fierce quarrel. I covered my ears and crouched in the corner crying. My brother handed me a lollipop, with a clumsy smile full of flattery on his face. Don't cry, Ali, have some candy. I reached out to take it and threw it far away. I hate you. You always make mom and dad quarrel. This isn't your home. Can you just leave? My brother silently rubbed the corner of his clothes, and his figure seemed to shrink. Later, my parents finally decided to send my brother to live in the school dormitory. I could only see him once a month. As I grew up, I became more and more curious. Since the adoption wasn't successful, why was my father so concerned about him? I rummaged through the bookcase at home and found the adoption certificate. I opened it with a smile, but I couldn't smile anymore. The adoption certificate didn't have my brother's name on it, but mine. The whole story was completely reversed. My father had been divorced, and my brother was his child with his ex-wife. My father and mother formed a new family, but she couldn't get pregnant. So they adopted me from the orphanage. So my brother was half an outsider in this family, and I was the real outsider. After learning the truth, I became rebellious and refused to go home. Even though I knew my brother was innocent, I still couldn't accept his existence. My father finally decided to send my brother back to his ex-wife. Although he knew that his ex-wife had remarried and my brother would be tortured by them after going back. Before leaving, my brother red-eyed and held my hand, asking me if I could let him stay. I shook my head and naively comforted him that my father would send living expenses to his biological mother every month. With the money, she definitely wouldn't abuse my brother anymore. On the way to the long-distance bus station to send my brother off, my father had a car accident. When my mother heard the news, she had a heart attack and passed away. At the funeral, my brother limped while holding my father's urn, stubbornly refusing to shed tears. I looked at him with hatred in my eyes. I thought he must hate me too. We were too young. He was taken away by his biological mother, and I lived with my aunt. Before we separated, my brother said word by word as if swearing, Ali, in the future, your brother will come to find you. I will take care of you and never let you cry again. I shook my head vigorously. I don't want to see you again. I don't want to see you for the rest of my life. The memories of the past were messy and fragmented. The blurry shadow of my brother gradually overlapped with Xuan Qian. I slept in a daze for a day and a night. When I woke up in a trance, I saw Shang Rui tidying his collar and preparing to go out. When he saw that I was awake, he replied calmly, I'm going to gather with my brothers. You can rest by yourself tonight. Don't wait for me. My temples were throbbing, and it hurt badly. I ruffled my hair and sat up. Mechanically, I sat down and combed my hair. I won't wait for you. I'm going out too. Shang Rui thought I was being angry with him. Without asking any extra questions, he just coldly said, As you wish. I heard the bedroom door slam shut. The next second, Shang Rui came back. He casually threw his coat on the bed and forcefully tore open the front of his shirt with his right hand. Are you going to find Xuan Qian again? 2 buttons popped open and rolled under the bed cheerfully, disappearing from sight. He grabbed my wrist and dragged me in front of him. His eyes were full of paranoia and unwillingness. Linley, are you being cheap? Xuan Qian is so spineless. He doesn't even have the courage to tell you the truth. What's so worthy of your nostalgia about such a man? I turned my head away and avoided his gaze. It has nothing to do with romantic feelings. I just want to make things clear with him. Shang Rui pinched my chin, forcing me to look him in the eye. His voice was cold. You can tell me anything you want to say to him. Can you stop being crazy? To me, he's just a symbol whose appearance and name I can't remember. We have no blood relation and no feelings, no matter what his feelings for me are. I shut him out when he needed his family the most. Now I just want to make up for it. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. What you want to give is not what he wants. Shang Rui's fingers gently stroked my wrist. Have you ever thought that he doesn't want a family at all? He just wants you. His voice coiled around my ear like a sticky and alluring spider web, cold and eerie, making me feel uncomfortable for no reason. Shang Rui, that's enough. Enough. I struggled so hard that Shang Rui let go in a hurry. Maybe I had always been so gentle and tolerant in front of him. The sudden toughness made him feel at a loss. I trembled with anger and spoke incoherently. You tried to destroy everything around me and left me with no way out. Why do you hate me so much? Shang Rui's eyes burned with a wildfire, and a tide of anger surged within him. For a moment, I felt that his hatred was about to pour down on me like a tempest. I watched as he pulled out his tie and took a few steps back until the coldness of the wall seeped through my clothes. Don't come any closer, my fear reflected in his eyes. Torn into a chaotic and out-of-control despair, Shang Rui raised his hand, but he wrapped the tie around his own hand. The hoarse voice that escaped him was like the mournful cry of a trapped beast. Ali, don't be afraid of me. Don't push me away. Look, I will never hurt you. I shook my head instinctively, still filled with fear. He had gone to great lengths to get close to me, occupied my life without warning. And now that he was tired of me, he still wanted to keep me trapped. I couldn't understand what he really wanted. I won't believe you anymore, Ali. Do you really want to see me die in front of you? I couldn't move my hands, but Shang Rui slammed into the cabinet. The vase shattered on the ground, in pieces. Without thinking, he leaned sideways and fell. I instinctively reached out to pull him, but the disparity in strength meant I couldn't move him. The broken glass pierced his back, and blood flowed. Doctor, what's Dr. Liang's number? My mind was in a mess. And I was completely panicked. Call for emergency. It's quicker to call for emergency. Shang Rui reached out and grabbed me, pulling me tightly into his arms. My weight pressed on him, adding to his injuries. I've caught you. I saw his face contorted with pain, cold sweat sliding down his Adam's apple and into his collar. The next second, he laughed hysterically. Ali, stay by my side, don't go anywhere. He was a madman, since he couldn't trap me with his feelings. He trapped me with himself. 5. The private doctor rushed over to treat his wound. His clothes were stuck to the blood, and they had to be cut open to clean the wound. Shang Rui gasped in pain and held my hand tightly throughout, not willing to let go even a bit. Dr. Liang carefully instructed me on how to take care of the wound and change the dressing. Finally, he reminded me to pay attention to Shang Rui's mental state and not let him hurt himself again. I knew that Shang Rui had many old scars on his body. When he went swimming, he always wore a one-piece shark suit. Dr. Liang said that he had experienced an accident when he was a child and had PTSD. He had been addicted to self-harm for a long time. He had been treated for a long time, and his condition fluctuated, but after I was with him, he had never hurt himself again, according to Dr. Liang. I might have formed some kind of psychological compensation for him and stopped his self-harm behavior. When I decided to leave, he hurt himself again. This was the reason why, even though he was tired of me, he still wouldn't let me go. I stayed by Shang Rui's side and didn't sleep all night, looking at his troubled face even in his sleep. For a moment, I seemed to reconcile with him. Whether I love him or not isn't that important. I'm willing to stay by his side as his medicine. At worst, I can think of it as doing good deeds. I had a lot to say to Shang Rui, but just as the sky was turning bright, a message came to his phone. I saw the avatar that was jumping on his WeChat. It was the bright and passionate Rose that I was all too familiar with. You were right. I took out the design drawings of the foreign designer and questioned Lin Li for plagiarizing someone else's design. Xuan Qian panicked completely. Usually, he's so sensible, but this time he was like a fool, letting me manipulate him, trying every means to protect Lin Li's reputation. Xuan Qian revealed the project's base price to me. There's no way to avoid his downfall and loss of reputation. I really don't understand. Why did you go to such lengths to ask me to bring down the company you invested in? Just like I don't understand why Xuan Qian would sacrifice so much for Lin Li. After a series of emotions from the Rose, Zhang Ruwei simply replied, "You don't understand human nature. Rose, you have no humanity." The last message she sent was, "It went too far." Xuan Qian jumped off that unfinished building by the sea. 6. When I saw Xuan Qian again, he had already become a cold body in a black bag. I didn't even have time to say a word to him before losing my family again. Zhang Ruwei stumbled and supported the door frame. Blood seeped through the shirt on his lower back. He tried to trap me with himself again. "Ali, don't be like this, it hurts so much, I need you." I stared at Zhang Ruwei and shouted hysterically, "Xuan Qian is dead, and his reputation is gone, he's completely ruined." It was useless, my emotions had already collapsed, and I couldn't take care of myself. I didn't hate him enough to die with Zhang Ruwei. That was my last bit of reason. I held Xuan Qian's urn and planned to send it back to our hometown. Zhang Ruwei held me back and asked me to promise to come back to him after handling Xuan Qian's affairs. There was a bitter smile on my lips, and I was physically and mentally exhausted. "Zhang Ruwei, I don't want to play this game with you anymore. You're another brother that I don't want to admit, right?" Those past events came to my mind when Dr. Liang told me about Zhang Ruwei's PTSD. That car accident took away my father. And then I lost my mother. The other party in the car accident was also a father and son. The son threw a tantrum and grabbed the steering wheel, which ultimately led to this tragedy. On the day of the funeral, his father pushed him several times. He finally summoned the courage to come to me and said that he could be my brother and cover my compensation and living expenses until I was an adult. I slapped him in the face. "I don't want the money, and I don't want a brother. I want my alive parents." The reason why I could relieve Zhang Ruwei's self-harm behavior was that I was the root of all this. Fate is so mysterious. What it gave me was completely different from what I wanted. "Ali, I'm just afraid that you'll leave me. I want to monopolize your feelings." I went to see Xuan Qian. As long as he took the initiative to stay away from you, I was willing to give him any compensation. If he accepted, all these tragedies wouldn't have happened. Zhang Ruwei didn't deny it but just begged humbly. Xuan Qian's matter was an accident. I didn't expect him to be so extreme. There were clearly countless ways for him to make a comeback, but I don't know why he. A broken voice escaped from my throat. I know, Zhang Ruwei was a madman, and so was Xuan Qian. He knew that his methods were far from as sophisticated as Zhang Ruwei's. He sacrificed his life so that I would never forgive Zhang Ruwei. When I left this city, I thought it was all over. Not long after Xuan Qian was buried, Zhang Ruwei knocked on my door late at night, holding me tightly in his arms with rain all over him. "I'm sorry, Ali, I can't live without you." He absurdly hypnotized me. Even more absurdly, I didn't forget Xuan Qian's death but firmly believed that I was the one who caused it. I started to lose my mind, and my behavior became extreme. Zhang Ruwei asked someone to treat me many times, but there was no improvement. Zhang Ruwei hugged me with regret countless times and begged me not to hurt myself anymore. He took the hand that was holding the glass shards and scratched it towards his own neck. "Ali, let yourself go. It's not your fault. Take it out on me. Please don't torture yourself anymore." I looked at him and giggled, constantly calling Xuan Qian's name in his face, because I was just pretending. The doctor couldn't cure someone who was faking illness. I don't want to live this life anymore. And neither does he. Since I can't escape, I'll punish him with the rest of my life. Until one day, the aunt who took care of me flipped through the photo album and pointed at the little boy in the picture, laughing. "Why do you have a photo of young Master Ruwei when he was a child? I've really never seen him looking so malnourished, like a skinny monkey." The whole world collapsed. That day, I ran out barefoot and made the same choice at the place where Xuan Qian ended his life. But the moment everything in front of me sank into the abyss, the whole world lit up again. The Rose hooked her arm around Xuan Qian's and sized me up, smiling and teasing. "Senior, so this is your ideal type." Xuan Qian was embarrassed and at a loss. He coughed twice. "Lin Li and I are just colleagues. I was reborn before I reunited with Zhang Ruwei." 7. I looked at Xuan Qian. And tears welled up in my eyes before I could say a word. The rose deliberately teased. You're trying so hard to distance yourself, she's feeling wronged. I raised my arm and rushed into Zhuang Qian's arms, hugging him tightly. Zhuang Qian was at a loss, his fingertips curled up and resting on the top of my head. When he lowered his eyes, his Adam's apple rolled rapidly, and his ears turned a faint red. What's going on, Linley? What's wrong with you? His embrace was still warm, not the cold body in the black bag that could no longer respond to me. I reached out and grabbed the hem of his shirt, pulling it hard. Zhuang Qian hurriedly held onto his clothes, his face blushing like it was on fire. Linley, what are you doing? I asked him in a hoarse voice. Do you have a lot of old scars on your back, from the car accident? A trace of unbearable pain flashed in Zhuang Qian's eyes, and he seemed to be falling apart. His reaction confirmed everything. I had preconceived the identities of the two of them. Zhuang Qian had always called me Linley, but Shang Rui had been calling me Ali before I knew it, so Zhuang Qian was the little boy who caused the car accident, and Shang Rui was the brother who begged me to let him stay. Zhuang Qian, this is your last chance to be honest. I'm about to be taken away by someone else, and you won't have another chance to explain. Zhuang Qian hesitated to speak and finally avoided my gaze. Do you have some misunderstanding about me? Take a few days off and sort out your emotions. I was stunned for a few seconds and couldn't help but laugh bitterly. In a rebirth novel, if one fails to treat the left foot in the previous life, they will treat the right foot in this life. But I didn't expect that the tragedies of the previous life were related to everyone's character, and some things were like destiny. Even if it happened again, nothing would change. I didn't idle during those days of rest. I became a different person. Deviant and living a carefree life. Zhuang Qian couldn't hold back and came to find me. He still had that serious look and threatened that if I didn't go back, I would lose all my salary. I don't want to work here anymore. Just fire me. I hugged my male companion's neck and laughed. I'm busy, that's it. Zhuang Qian hesitated and asked, Linley, are you demeaning yourself because of me? I was silent for a few seconds. He was part of the reason, but not all of it. I want to change not only my own ending but also the intertwined tragedies of the three of us. Sure enough, it's because of me. Zhuang Qian seemed to have made a great determination. Then come back now, let's be together. Is that all you want to say? My eyebrows furrowed involuntarily and then quickly relaxed. The corner of my mouth carried a faint mockery. Zhuang Qian, do you think you're particularly great? You sacrificed yourself to save me from eternal damnation. There was only endless silence in response to me. Zhuang Qian didn't dare to admit his identity to me and face his past mistakes. There was an insurmountable gap between us. He couldn't come over, and I couldn't go back. It's over between us. No, it never even started. I smiled and hung up the phone. That's it, goodbye. Never see each other again. I stayed away from Zhuang Qian and became the person Shang Rui hated the most. Until I was drunk and Shang Rui picked me up and stuffed me into his luxury car angrily. Why are you giving up on yourself like this? Can't you live without Zhuang Qian? I guessed right. This time, I still couldn't get close to Zhuang Qian, and naturally, I couldn't escape Shang Rui's control. He pulled my necklace, and I didn't stop him at all. The moment the necklace was thrown out of the window, I met Zhuang Qian's lonely and broken gaze through the gap in the car window. Yes, I can't live without him. I'm so lonely. I just want to get married to someone, anyone. I squinted my eyes and grabbed his tie. Let's play a game of contractual marriage for 3 months. Do you dare? You're putting on this act for him, aren't you? Fine, I'll play along. Shang Rui's breathing was ragged, and his laughter carried the madness that had been suppressed to the extreme. Don't look at him. Look at me. I took the initiative to kiss his lips. Then let's see if you have the ability to replace him and capture my heart. Since I can't avoid it, this time, I'll take what I want by force. 8. This time, I took the lead in our relationship. But Shang Rui was unexpectedly restrained. That sense of distance confused me. Was it because it was too easy for him, and he lost the challenge and freshness too soon? Where is she? The girl I brought back last night. Where is she? I carried the breakfast upstairs and happened to hear Shang Rui's hysterical questioning. Before I could get an answer, there was the sound of a glassware falling and breaking. I knocked on the door frame. Are you looking for me? Shang Rui was stunned for a few seconds. The slippers under his feet made him stumble a few steps. Finally, he kicked the shoes away and stepped barefoot on the scattered clothes on the floor. He hugged me in his arms, shaking like a tree in a storm. Shang Rui didn't say anything, so I took the initiative to speak. I made breakfast. I don't know if it suits your taste. If you like it, eat it. If not, ask the ant to make something else." My tone confused him. He had been silently paying attention to me from behind for years and knew that I had a gentle and forbearing temper. Suddenly changing my temperament would make him feel at a loss. I decided to take the initiative to clear the air. "Are you curious about why I was willing to go with you yesterday?" Shang Rui looked at a slipper lying alone at the end of the bed, and his tone was self-deprecating as he replied, "You wanted to make Xuan Qian angry. I don't think you're a bad person." I shook my head. "I need to go back to the company later. The transportation around here is not convenient. Can you give me a ride?" Never having received special favor, Shang Rui didn't have a sense of deserving deep down. He was worried about losing things and being abandoned by the world. In the past, I was used to obeying and pleasing him. Besides passively accepting, I had no other demands. Such compromise only exacerbated his pain and unease. This time, I want to take the initiative to tell him that I need him. A trace of emotion flashed in Shang Rui's eyes, but he immediately built up a defense and retreated to his safe haven. My gaze shifted to the hand he was trying to hide. Shang Rui immediately realized what I was looking at and pretended to be calm as he waved his hand. "It's okay. I accidentally got cut by a piece of glass." I didn't expose him, even though I knew he was venting his emotions and had grabbed the piece of glass without hesitation. He was used to using the pain of self-harm to make up for the lack of emotions. I just didn't notice it last time. After being reborn, I really thought about taking revenge on Shang Rui. So I went to inquire about his past in advance. His stepfather didn't like this burden at all and would beat and scold him at every turn, until one day, his stepfather got into a conflict with someone and died accidentally. His biological mother took the compensation and soon remarried. The person she married this time didn't have a child, so he treated Shang Rui as his own son and doted on him. Shang Rui also changed his name, rising from the mud to the sky. His name, appearance, and temperament all changed. No wonder I couldn't recognize him. I didn't realize when he reappeared by my side and did all the decent and indecent things. After being in the rain for so many years, now that he had an umbrella, he just wanted to hold up a roof to shield me from the wind and rain. At that moment, I gave up on revenge. Shang Rui wasn't bad, he just didn't know how to love others. When applying medicine to Shang Rui, his eyes were fixed on me, as if he couldn't feel the pain at all. I didn't look up and focused all my attention on his messy wound. My parents passed away early, and I lived with my aunt. My aunt was weak-tempered, and my uncle was an alcoholic and a gambler. It was like starting in hell. I wanted them to get a divorce. I cried and made a scene. I even thought about going with my parents. Shang Rui suddenly tightened his grip on my hand. "I haven't finished applying the medicine. Stretch out your hand." I pried his hand apart and looked calm, as if telling a story that had nothing to do with me. Later, I realized that there were some things I couldn't interfere with. I had to let myself go. When you're living under someone else's roof, you can't have a temper. For things I can change, I just need to think from a different angle and let them go. After laying out so much, I just wanted to find an opportunity to tell him that I was regretful. Shang Rui suddenly reached out and brushed aside my forehead hair. When his fingertips stopped, his pupils dilated slightly, as if tracing my outline. The warmth of his fingertips seemed to cross the years and come to me. It was late, but it was still comforting. But Shang Rui suddenly curved his lips, and my shrunken reflection was reflected in his dark pupils. "The person who made you suffer so much is really damn." I swallowed the words that followed awkwardly. Redemption wasn't that easy. He reached out and stroked my hair, his eyebrows furrowed in pain. But he was addicted to this pain and didn't plan to stop. For him, the happiness obtained through pain was real. I gently pushed his hand away. "Your hand is seriously injured. You'd better not drive. I can just find a ride-hailing car." Shang Rui suddenly leaned closer. "What? Are you afraid Xuan Qian will see? I've been too kind to him, and he just won't listen. I've resigned and I'm going to get my design drafts back." I stood up with a cold face. "You can follow if you really want to. But I might look ugly when I quarrel. I'm afraid you'll lose your good impression of me." Shang Rui was stunned for a few seconds, and then he lowered his head and couldn't stop laughing. I knew what he was laughing at. He had been scolded by me, and he had also seen me scold Xuan Qian. I turned to leave, but Shang Rui suddenly called out to me. "Does the 3-month contractual marriage still count?" "Yes." 9. When I returned to the company, Xuan Qian didn't lose his temper. Instead, he coldly urged me to go back to work. I cleared my throat and was about to announce my resignation. "Everyone, stop for a moment." I have something to announce. Zhuang Qian suddenly interrupted me. I'm in a relationship with Linley, but it won't affect our work relationship. Everything will remain the same in the future. I was both angry and amused. What was this? Charity, you might have misunderstood. My wife is a very devoted person. Shang Rui swaggered in and put his arm around my waist. If you had any wrong ideas, it's because she's a nice person. Shang Rui was the company's only partner and source of funds, in short, the benefactor, and everyone knew him. Everyone looked at each other, and the way they looked at me was somewhat meaningful. Whether I was cheating or Zhuang Qian had tried to make me flirt with Shang Rui but it had backfired, I was the one who looked the least decent in this situation. There was an awkward silence. It was Zhuang Qian who spoke first. Even in a relationship, you can't call her that casually, it's impolite. I almost rolled my eyes. Was that the point? Shang Rui looked at me, and the corner of his mouth curved into a triumphant arc. We're married, and it's only natural to call her wife. Even if he was just talking nonsense, I didn't bother to refute. I turned and went back to the office. Shang Rui was stunned for a few seconds, and then he suddenly reached out to stop me. You've already resigned. I've resigned, but I still want to get my design drafts back. Shang Rui's smile was a bit unnatural. I'll support you in the future. Those rejected drafts can be thrown away. I shook off his hand and kicked the door open. The Rose sitting inside was flustered. On the computer desktop were her design drafts overlapping with mine and those of a foreign designer, and there were traces that she couldn't delete and modify in time. I raised my voice. What do you mean? I haven't even left, and you're blatantly copying my design. The Rose waved her hands and denied it. No, I didn't copy your design. I just wanted to check. I immediately interrupted her, caught in the act. Do you still want to deny it? I knew she was trying to change the details of my design to make it exactly the same and then accuse me of plagiarism. Most of the time, the one who strikes first takes the moral high ground, but I knew that Shang Rui had instructed her to do this. Not only would Zhuang Qian try to minimize the matter for her reputation, but Shang Rui would also protect her. I strode up and picked up the cold coffee on the table that had been there for who knows how many nights and poured it on her. The laptop was soaked. It crackled for a while, and a blue flame burst out. The documents and paper design drafts on the table that hadn't been cleaned up were all affected. The Rose was stunned. She patted the coffee stains on her body, and there were sobs in her throat. What are you doing? I'll compensate for the broken computer, but my design belongs to me alone. No one else can steal it. I won't give her a chance to fight back. The computer is broken, and the paper drafts are gone. I can't insist that she plagiarized, and she can't prove her innocence either, since there is no evidence left. It's the same for both of us. I turned and left. The Rose was unwilling to suffer in silence and sneered. Whether it's reasonable or not needs to be judged by everyone. You destroyed the evidence first. Maybe there's something wrong with this draft, and you're feeling guilty. Speak with evidence. I glanced at Zhuang Qian and raised my eyebrows slightly. I caught you tampering with my draft. You suspect me but only by words. If you can't produce evidence, it's slander. So many colleagues can testify that you deliberately spread rumors and damaged my reputation. Zhuang Qian stood in front of the Rose, his voice extremely serious. Linley, stop making a scene. There's no need to involve our personal matters in our work. Don't target Shamay like this. I looked at his eyes and suddenly felt strange. For a moment, I really wanted to slap him hard and tell him that everything I did wasn't out of spite but to save him. Grievance filled my chest, and my eyes turned red before I could say a word. If I left without clearing things up today, he would still think that I was being jealous and unreasonable. Since there would be misunderstandings anyway, I might as well confirm them. Yes, I'm targeting her. After all these years of entanglement, I'm tired and have seen through it. It's just right to settle the score completely, and we won't owe each other anything in the future. I looked into his eyes and caught a few imperceptible tremors of emotion. After taking this last look, I remembered his appearance at this moment. Zhuang Qian, farewell. 10. I felt a sense of relief in my heart. As long as I had no more connection with Zhuang Qian, Shang Rui wouldn't have to deal with him. After destroying the design draft, the Rose no longer had the bargaining chip to threaten Zhuang Qian. Zhuang Qian wouldn't be ruined and wouldn't die either. Shang Rui kept a dark face and didn't say a word. I pulled his hand and called him several times but got no response. Finally, I got angry. The 3-month contractual marriage you promised. Don't go back on your word. A joyful expression flashed across his face, and then he frowned tightly, unconsciously clenching his fist so that his nails dug into his flesh. Happiness scared him. When he was with his first stepfather, whether he asked for tuition or his grades were not good, even when his stepfather was in a bad mood, he would be beaten. Only after his stepfather's emotions calmed down would he realize that his actions were excessive and mostly tried to appease him. Subconsciously, he always felt that only by making himself feel pain could he have happiness with a clear conscience. My fingers went around his back, and my fingertips slowly touched those old scars, crisscrossing. Even though they had already healed, they were still deeply engraved in his heart. 3 months was the limit for healing, sticking together inseparably, straightforwardly telling him all my needs and feelings, giving him a sufficient sense of belonging and security. I could feel that everything was getting better. When are you going to marry Lindley? Marry that skinny girl? It's just for fun, for fun. Does Shang Rui look like he's just playing around? When I heard his brothers teasing again, I almost pushed the door open and scolded them. Suddenly, someone interrupted. Be careful, Xiao Mei is here. Through the glass, I saw the Rose sitting opposite Shang Rui, crossing her arms, looking like she was here to accuse him. It doesn't matter, I don't care, marry whoever you want, don't think too much, it won't happen. Shang Rui poured the wine down his throat and only left a sentence. I'm tired of her. I thought she was the moon that I couldn't reach, but it's just a stone after I got her. My pupils suddenly shrank, and my lips trembled slightly. I bit my lip and swallowed the exclamation back. So these words were said to the Rose. There was a burst of laughter in the private room. You insisted on picking the moon, but you don't want it now. What about Lindley? Shang Rui leaned on the sofa, looking lazy. When I'm completely tired of her, if Xuan Qian still wants her, I'll give her back to him. There was another burst of laughter. You're so bad. Are you doing garbage recycling here? The Rose stood up and slapped him hard. You liar. You said you wanted to take revenge on Xuan Qian, but you didn't say that Lindley is the woman you've been thinking about. I always thought that they were just in a cooperative relationship. And that's why Shang Rui calmly sent the Rose to Xuan Qian's side. It turned out that I wasn't the only one who was stupid. There was a dead silence in the private room. You've been sweet-talking and acting in front of me every day. Aren't you tired? The Rose's voice trembled. What do you take me for? A part of your game with Lindley? The Rose suddenly opened the door, and I didn't have time to dodge. Shang Rui looked at me in shock, his eyelashes trembling, looking flustered and at a loss. 11. I didn't say a word on the way home and silently packed my luggage when I got home. Shang Rui took a half step forward but froze. His fingertips hovered 3 inches above my shoulder and trembled. Are you going to find Xuan Qian? I stroked my hair, and my tone was surprisingly calm. I don't want to pursue the relationship between you and the Rose, but I have to settle the score with Xuan Qian. How do you want to settle it? What are you going to settle? Shang Rui pulled me into his arms, and there was still paranoia and unwillingness in his eyes. Have you ever thought that he doesn't want a family at all? He just wants you. I faced the wildfire and the tide of anger in his eyes again, but my state of mind was completely different. You tried to destroy everything around me and leave me with no way out. I know you're afraid of losing me. My tone was calm, but it doesn't matter. You don't have to do anything, and you won't lose me. Shang Rui's fingers gently stroked my wrist. Ali, you went this far to protect Xuan Qian. This person just won't listen. A storm gathered in his eyes, and the next second, he really reached for his tie. Anger rushed to my head, and my heart heated up. I snatched his tie and tied his hands first. Ali, don't leave me. Don't go to him, please. Shang Rui was like a trapped beast, and a hoarse voice escaped from his throat. He's not good. He's not the brother you want. He doesn't deserve you. How long are you going to act? Is it only by taking Xuan Qian's identity that you dare to express your love openly? I forcefully opened the drawer and took out a lollipop. There was no need to say more. We both understood. Shang Rui trembled all over. Ali, don't be afraid of me. Don't push me away. His emotions completely collapsed, and nothing I said could soothe him. He leaned over and planted a kiss. If everything could be repeated, I would never drive you away again, this time. I won't let him use himself as a prison to trap me. The morning light made my eyes ache. When I opened my eyes, I realized that I was in such a hurry yesterday that I didn't even have time to draw the curtains. As soon as I got out of bed, Shang Rui groped the bed sheet with his fingertips. Then he turned over and sat up like a panicked little beast. I stood barefoot on the ground and subconsciously turned around to soothe him. I'm here. Shang Rui propped himself up and pulled me back into his arms. Xiao Mei is my junior schoolmate. I did use her. It's my fault. Xuan Qian killed my father. Why should he feel at ease and not be punished? I wanted to take away the most important person to him. I just didn't know that person was you. I didn't answer. The fact that he took the initiative to face me and our past was already the greatest reconciliation. Silence was enough. There was a noise outside, and the aunt knocked on the door. "Young Master Rue, something big has happened. Come out and take a look." 12. But he was extremely serious and really presented everything in front of me. This time, the Rose didn't get what she wanted from Shang Rue and decisively betrayed him, siding with Xuan Qian. Since the Rose could help Shang Rue harm Xuan Qian, she could naturally help Xuan Qian harm Shang Rue. I went to the detention center to visit Shang Rue. He looked as if the sky was about to fall. Babbling that I should go straight for my future and not waste time waiting for him, I agreed, and he looked wronged as if he couldn't go on living. "Why shouldn't I wait for you? When the 3-month contractual marriage expires, you can become my official partner." Shang Rue was stunned for a few seconds and then laughed with his head lowered. He put his hand on the glass. Even through the cold glass, I could feel the warmth in his palm. When I came out of the detention center, Xuan Qian immediately came up with an umbrella. "It's raining. Why didn't you use an umbrella?" I turned to look at him. The shoulders of his suit were stained with deep and shallow watermarks, but the hand holding the umbrella stubbornly leaned over my head. I took a step closer to him. Xuan Qian subconsciously dodged. Then he reacted and immediately curved his lips, opening his arms and waiting for me to throw myself into his arms. But I just leaned in front of him and asked softly, "You were reborn too, right?" "I don't know what you're talking about." The smile froze on Xuan Qian's face, and his action of avoiding my gaze became more deliberate. I shook my head and said with certainty, "You know, after being reborn, he never missed any of the turning points in the development of my relationship with Shang Rue. He deliberately kept a distance from me, exposed his weaknesses, and tried to win over and protect the Rose. He planned carefully, looking for opportunities to sow discord between the Rose and Shang Rue, and finally used me to completely turn the Rose against Shang Rue. I don't like doing those underhanded things, but I'm willing to do them for you." Xuan Qian finally stopped pretending. He stroked my hair and gently tucked it behind my ear. "Without him meddling, we can finally be together with peace of mind. The past is in the past, but it doesn't mean I've forgiven you. I didn't choose you before, and I still won't choose you this time." I pushed away his umbrella and walked alone into the distance. The rain wet my hair and clothes, and the damp and refreshing air made me especially sober and happy. The fates of the three of us have changed, and that's better than anything else. Xuan Qian called my name from a distance. "Linley, I'll withdraw some of the evidence. With insufficient evidence of guilt, Shang Rue will be released soon." I waved my hand as a thank you and didn't look back. Xuan Qian is the scenery along the way, and Shang Rue is my destination. I see everyone else as ordinary plants, but only you are like a green mountain. Story 2. After my stepsister caused my death, the schizophrenic genius scientist abandoned his life's research and avenged me in a frenzied act of self-destruction. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn at the moment I first witnessed his breakdown. Talking to himself, he appeared wildly disturbed. This time, instead of running away in fear, I cautiously approached and grasped his scar-covered arm. "What are you researching? Can you tell me?" I asked. He paused for a moment. "Researching, Joyce, my name." At the moment when I was completely engulfed by the waves, what I saw was Jojo's smug expression. "Goodbye, my dear sister. Only with your death can the family wealth and Leon be mine." It was only at that moment that I realized Jojo, who always appeared innocent and frail, harbored deep schemes and ruthless ambitions. Perhaps driven by intense hatred, my soul lingered after death, floating in midair, and followed Jojo home. I watched as she tearfully announced my death to our ill father, who was literally infuriated to death. Jojo, with Joyce's family gone, she and her mother naturally inherited all the family assets, enjoying great splendor. On the day Jojo married Leon in my place, the ceremony was grand and spectacular. She wore my wedding dress, smiling like a victor. Leon and I had a business marriage without any real emotion. It didn't matter to him whom he married, as long as it benefited the family. I thought it was just that. But when I saw the tender affection in Leon's eyes, I suddenly realized that he and Jojo must have been involved much earlier. A boundless hatred overwhelmed me, nearly tearing me apart. I was filled with hate and regret. At that moment, a Bugatti charged onto the lawn at lightning speed, creating a piercing crash. The guests at the scene instantly panicked and scattered. The Bugatti didn't stop. It continued circling the venue, wreaking havoc on Jojo's meticulously arranged setting. Finally, it braked sharply in front of Jojo and Leon. The door opened, and out stepped a man, his presence dark and crazed. It was Jason, the globally renowned genius scientist. The last time I saw him in the news was 2 years ago. He had secluded himself to work on a project. This project is my life's pursuit. Without completing it, my life would be meaningless. After that, he vanished from the public eye. I never imagined Jason would appear at the wedding. And even less so to avenge me. Jason, holding a sharp knife, charged at Jojo without hesitation, his eyes filled with hatred and despair. Jojo tried to escape but he caught her, and just within 2 seconds, the sharp knife slashed her throat. In what seemed like an act of vengeance, Jason repeatedly stabbed her, each stab accompanied by a tear. You killed her. I couldn't even bear to look, yet you killed her. You go accompany her in death. Go to hell and atone for your sins. Jojo was beyond dead. Jason turned, his gaze falling on Leon, who was preparing to flee. You can't escape either. He charged like a cheetah, blinded by rage. Someone must have called the police. As the sound of sirens began to wail, the sky was overcast, and raindrops pounded down. Blood was smeared everywhere, surrounding the desperate and suffocating Jason. It was as if all his strength had been drained. He fell to his knees and wept. My research, the pursuit of my entire life, gone. Joyce, I'm coming to join you. From the bottom of my heart, I cried out. Jason, when I opened my eyes again, I was back to being 18 years old. There were no weddings, no bloodshed, just a tightly closed door. My heart trembled as I stared in disbelief at the door. There was a cute little bear doorbell on it. It was a gift from me to Jason, a gesture to win him over. Jason had transferred to my school in his 2nd year of high school and was my desk mate. He was quiet and reserved, often daydreaming during class, yet his grades were far superior to ours. Curious and envious, I tried to get closer to him, hoping he could tutor me. Today, the class monitor had organized a gathering and sent me to call Jason. In my previous life, when I came to call him, I happened to witness one of his episodes. He was talking to himself, his expression frenzied. I was scared and fled. Only later did I learn that Jason had schizophrenia. That's why he transferred here. After that escape, I never saw Jason again. He transferred to another class the next day. Deliberately avoiding me, I took a moment to compose my heavy heart, raised my hand, and pressed the doorbell. Jason opened the door and seemed surprised to see me. Joyce, the clear, young man stood before me, his body carrying a pleasant scent of gardenia. At the sight of him, my nose tingled, and my voice was slightly choked. Are you coming to the class gathering today? He frowned slightly. Come in first. After entering, I noticed the surveillance at the entryway. Further inside, the living room had cameras too. These were things I hadn't noticed in my previous life. Jason poured me a glass of water. Seeing the redness around my eyes, there was a hint of worry and sympathy in his gaze. Have you been bullied? I took the water, smiling and shaking my head. No, just had a little argument with my dad. Jason was silent for a moment. Are you going? I am. Jason then looked up and slightly curved his lips. Good. Let me change my clothes, okay? I sat on the living room sofa, watching Jason enter the bedroom, my heart unconsciously racing. He had had his episode in the bedroom. I had read up a bit on schizophrenia, visual and auditory hallucinations. Jason had them both. When I heard Jason's raised voice from the bedroom, despite being mentally prepared, my hand holding the glass still trembled. Taking a deep breath, I stood up and cautiously approached his bedroom. Pushing open the door, I saw Jason's expression changing rapidly, now angry, now distressed. This approach to the research is completely unworkable. It's bound to fail. This angle is too tricky and time-consuming with little payoff, and I don't have that much time. There were clothes laid out on the bed that he was planning to change into. He had already taken off his coat, revealing his arms. They were covered in scars. It was shocking to see. The argument grew more intense. I clenched my fists, my palms sweaty. It wasn't until Jason calmed down and sat on the bed with a thump, frustratingly clutching his hair, that he exclaimed, "What should I do with this research?" After saying that, he fell silent for a long while. That's when I carefully approached him, holding my breath as I drew near. Jason, he didn't respond, just kept his head down, deep in thought. I noticed the crisscrossed scars on his arms and felt a tightness in my chest. Gently, I reached out and took his wrist, asking again, "Can you tell me what you're working on?" I remembered Jason had joined a research project at university and had made quite a name for himself. Jason stiffened for a moment, then mechanically looked up, His gaze was distant and wooden. He stared at me as if trying to recognize me. After a long while, a hint of joy sparked in his eyes, and he gripped my hand back. "I'm researching, Joyce," he said. A jolt went through my heart. Joyce, was he researching me? Triggered by something, Jason began to talk nonstop. "Who are you? You look like her. I like her. Can you give me some advice? I want to confess my feelings to her, but I'm scared. I'm sick. I should wait, but I can't. I really like her. Please help me." I snapped back from my shock. Tears had welled up in my eyes. "You should tell her directly. She won't reject you." No one knew that I had once had feelings for Jason, who could resist a good-looking, smart guy during their teenage years, but later, due to fear, hesitation, and the erosion of time, those youthful heartbeats were buried and forgotten. Jason's eyes brightened at my words. "Okay." After the excitement, he seemed a bit tired. I helped him lie down, and he held on to my hand, refusing to let go. "Stay with me. I don't want to be alone." I sat by the bed and nodded. "Okay, I'll stay with you." Jason finally closed his eyes and gradually fell asleep. I looked around his room, noticing there were no sharp objects anywhere, and the door wasn't even locked, making it easy for me to enter. Yet, there were so many scars on his arms, and in such a large house, he was all alone. "Jason," a wave of sorrow spread from my heart to every part of my body. "The class leader sent me a message asking about my progress. Jason won't be coming. Something just came up at home for me, so I won't make it either. Have fun without us." "Alright then." The sun outside was scorching, its rays piercing through the window onto Jason's face, causing him to furrow his brow in discomfort. I carefully pried his hand open and went over to draw the curtains shut. His expression softened. I had intended to wait for Jason to wake up, but my phone rang again. This time, it was a message from my dad. He had already warned me earlier that he would be bringing JoJo and her mother, Mona, back home. And now he was asking if I was at home. I glanced at Jason, still lying on the bed. "I'm here. In my last life, Mona married into our family right after I graduated. My dad, fearing disharmony, had allowed them to live with us for a year. During that time, JoJo and her mother played their parts perfectly, completely deceiving both me and my father. This time, I was determined not to let them through my door." After leaving Jason's house, my bodyguard drove me back. As we arrived at the villa, I saw JoJo and Mona looking around in surprise, their eyes filled with excitement and greed. My dad, naively, was showing them around the house. With a stern face, I ordered the bodyguard, "Hit them." The bodyguard, shocked, responded, "Miss, hit them." At that moment, my mind was filled with the bloody tragedies of my previous life. I was so full of hatred. My dad, not very cunning, devoted all his energy to his company, yet Mona used him as a stepping stone for social climbing. I treated JoJo like a sister, always protecting her, but she envied and hated me, and eventually pushed me into the sea. Those ungrateful wretches, they deserved death. Although puzzled, the bodyguard obeyed. He stepped on the gas, and the car sped towards JoJo and her mother. My dad turned pale with shock. "Joyce." With a loud crash, JoJo and Mona were struck and thrown onto the ground. I immediately got out of the car, tears streaming down my face. "Dad." The brakes failed. I was so scared. I rushed into my dad's arms, clinging to him tightly. While comforting me, he sent someone to check on JoJo and her mother. In his heart, I was the most important. In my last life, he had made a will leaving everything to me and instructed me to take good care of JoJo and her mother. It was also for this reason that they harbored murderous intentions towards me. The emergency services soon arrived and took them away. My dad comforted me until I calmed down, and then he rushed to the hospital. I sat in the living room while the bodyguard stood in front of me, uneasy. "Miss, if the gentleman checks the car, it's fine, you won't be dismissed." My dad wasn't foolish. "Right now, I just really didn't want to see JoJo and her mother. You may go." The bodyguard respectfully left. I went upstairs to my room to wait for my dad to come back. I glanced at the time, unsure if Jason had woken up. His house had surveillance. If he was awake, he'd surely check it. In my last life, he probably saw me fleeing on the cameras and since then kept his distance from me, avoiding me. I sent him a voice message. "Something came up at home, so I had to leave. Are you awake?" On the other end of the phone, Jason sat desolately on the floor, the computer in front of him replaying the surveillance footage of the entire house. An hour ago, she had arrived. She had seen everything. Beside him lay a sharply honed triangular ruler which he uncontrollably dragged across his arm, repeatedly slicing into his flesh, blood streaming down. Why did it have to be when she came? She must be terrified, Jason choked out between sobs. At that moment, his phone lit up with a new message, a voice message. Trembling, he played it. A girl's clear voice came through. I had to go back home because of some issues. Are you awake? It took a while before I received Jason's response. Just a single, cold word. Yeah, I was puzzled. Why was he colder than usual? He must have seen the surveillance footage. He should know I wasn't scared. Wasn't he planning to confess his feelings to me? I decided to call him directly. Jason, I said when he answered, his voice sounding muffled. Yeah, words were on the tip of my tongue. But suddenly, I felt shy. I couldn't just ask outright why he hadn't confessed his feelings, could I? Do you have time tomorrow? Let's go to the haunted house in West City. I heard it's really thrilling, I emphasized. Just the two of us. Jason was silent. I waited patiently for his reply. There was a rustling sound on the other end, then suddenly, something seemed to drop. Following that, Jason's raspy voice came through. Okay, he paused, his tone apologetic. Can we go in the afternoon? I can't get up in the morning. Sure, I replied. After chatting a bit more, I hung up, but I didn't feel happy about his agreement. Instead, I had a bad feeling. Jason's biological clock was always precise. He never had trouble waking up or slept in, unless something was wrong, but he wasn't saying, and it wasn't right for me to press too hard. I turned on my tablet and started searching for more information on mental illnesses. Schizophrenia had several triggers: external stimuli, psychological trauma, substance abuse, and genetic factors. I could rule out the last two. To my knowledge, neither of Jason's parents had mental illnesses, and his mother had passed away when he was 10. That left the first two. Could his father be the cause? I recalled his empty, surveillance-filled home. Jason lived there day and night, every move watched. It must have been suffocating. A heaviness settled in my chest. Looking at our chat, I took a deep breath. Jason, this time, it's my turn to save you. It was evening by the time my dad returned from the hospital. The bodyguard had messaged me earlier to inform me that my dad had confirmed the brakes were fine and pleaded for my help. Just after I replied don't worry, there was a knock at my door. Joyce, are you asleep? I got up to open the door. Dad, my dad entered with a stern face. Sit down. He didn't ask me, he waited for me to confess voluntarily. Standing in front of him, I spoke in a low voice. I don't like them. My father, suppressing his anger, demanded. Reason. I took a deep breath. Dad, I had a dream. In the dream, you married Mona, and Jojo became my sister. We lived together for 10 years. I respected Mona as a mother and cherished Jojo as my own sister. However, Mona drugged you, causing you to fall gravely ill. After I took over the company, Jojo and my intended spouse conspired together, eventually leaving me to die at sea. They inherited the family fortune and lived gloriously. The hatred that had been festering inside me began to grow wildly. My hands tightened by my sides, nails digging into the flesh, yet it was nothing compared to the pain in my heart. My father's gaze was heavy as he stared at me, all because of a dream. My voice choked up. Mom passed away early, and it was you who raised me from a young age. You know best what kind of person I am, Dad. If it weren't for experiencing it firsthand, if I didn't hate to the core, would I let the bodyguard run someone over? I've never been impulsive. It must be something I inherited from you, Dad. Unbeknownst to me, my father gripped the arms of his chair, his eyes fixed on my face. The air quieted down. We looked at each other calmly, but there was turmoil in both our eyes. No matter how much I tried to suppress it, strands of hatred still leaked from my eyes. My father's eyes gradually reddened. The usually composed man suddenly cursed. Finally, he closed his eyes and took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. In an instant, my nose tingled, and tears fell. Dad, my father opened his arms and gently embraced me, patting my back soothingly. His voice trembled. My Joyce has suffered. It's all my fault. I misjudged people. His voice grew firm. Don't worry, I will never let those things happen again. My heart trembled, and I couldn't hold back my tears any longer. The next day when I woke up, my father was not at home. He had said last night that he would take care of everything and that I shouldn't worry. Now, Mona and Jojo posed no threat at all. I wasn't worried. No matter how cunning, no brain can withstand the forces of power and money. My only worry was Jason. We had agreed to meet today, but he was late. Just as I was about to call him, Jason got out of a taxi and hurried towards me. Sorry, there was a sudden issue. Got held up for a bit. Did you wait long? Seeing the sweat on his forehead, I frowned. It wasn't hot today. The short run shouldn't have made him sweat. I handed him a tissue. I just got here too. Wipe off your sweat first. Jason took the tissue, wiped away the sweat, and smiled warmly. Where do you want to go? I smiled back, grabbed his wrist, and led him forward. Come with me. I didn't notice that Jason's body stiffened. There were many fun activities in the West City, and taking advantage of the midday. I dragged Jason to the haunted house first. To be honest, I'm the type who is both timid and adventurous. Throughout the experience, I screamed nonstop and clung tightly to Jason. He, on the other hand, wasn't scared at all and even comforted me in a gentle voice whenever I got frightened. As we reached the final section of the haunted house, the surroundings were eerily quiet and pitch dark. All I could hear was our breathing. I gripped Jason's arm tightly, my eyes wide open as I scanned the surroundings. Even though I couldn't see anything, Jason patted my hand, saying, "It's okay, I'm here." I was still scared and started to make small talk. Out of nowhere, I blurted out, "Aren't you going to confess your feelings to me?" Jason froze suddenly. I was also taken aback. Damn my big mouth. Why wasn't I shy now? But since the words were already out, I boldly continued, "Jason, the truth is I like you." But before I could finish, he covered my mouth. "Shoo, there's something ahead." My attention immediately shifted. I stared intently straight ahead. In the darkness, I couldn't see Jason's expression, nor could I tell that his face was pale and his expression panicked. Even the hand covering my mouth was trembling slightly. "Don't move, Joyce, the ghost is coming." My body instantly stiffened. Just then, Jason let go of me and even stepped back slightly. "What are you doing? Don't go." I held onto his hand tightly. "I'm not going," he said, but I wasn't reassured and dared not move. The room remained silent. There were rustling noises behind us, like something cracking or the sound of a plastic bag being rubbed. "Jason, Jason." I called out his name in fear. He responded softly, A few seconds later, he moved forward. "It's okay now. The ghost is gone." I paused, slow to realize. "Were you tricking me?" He chuckled softly. "You caught me." I was both angry and annoyed. "Jason, yes, I'm here." You've learned to be naughty." He wasn't like this before, but Jason just pointed out, "The exit is over there." I remained somewhat annoyed until we got out, but when I turned around and saw Jason's smiling eyes, all my anger vanished. However, his complexion looked terrible. My heart tightened. "Jason," he interrupted me, "what else do you want to play?" I forced a smile. The haunted house was really scary. "Let's rest for a bit." He nodded. "Okay." We found a relatively quiet restaurant and ordered some drinks. When Jason got up to go to the restroom, as he turned around, I caught a glimpse of a silver corner sticking out of his jacket pocket. It was brief, but I recognized it. A strip of pills. My hand tightened under the table. I knew that schizophrenia required constant medication. Should I have called him out? Before long, Jason came back. His expression as usual. He stayed with me and played until the afternoon, thoroughly enjoying himself and almost always accommodating my requests. However, when I suggested we play the latest popular murder mystery game, he declined. "Joyce, I'm a bit tired," he said. He didn't look tired, but I could see a hint of reluctance in his eyes. I immediately changed the topic. I didn't realize how late it had gotten. "Let's head home then." He nodded in agreement. As we left the western part of the city, the sky was a vast expanse of fiery red sunset. "It's so beautiful." I took out my phone and snapped several photos of the sunset. With the fiery sunset in front of me, the gentle Jason by my side, and the cool evening breeze around, a sudden thought struck me. I turned the camera towards Jason. "Smile," I said. Before he could react, I captured his photo and then switched to video mode. "Jason, do you like me?" Jason, who had wanted to stop me, froze. He stared at me blankly. "I like you, Jason," I smiled. In the camera, Jason's expression visibly shifted to panic and nervousness. I peeked from behind the camera to look into his eyes and spoke again. "I've liked you since you patiently helped me with my homework. Why do you still come to school every day even though you've already been admitted on recommendation?" I asked. Jason's pupils trembled as he looked deeply into my eyes. We held each other's gaze amidst the noisy backdrop of traffic and voices, which seemed not to affect us at all. It took a long while for Jason to respond, as if he had just processed the situation. "Joyce," he began, his eyes suddenly lighting up with surprise. But a sudden ringtone from his phone interrupted him. His expression darkened instantly. I sensed something was wrong. Jason took out his phone, hung up the call, and his expression settled into calmness. He took my phone and stopped the recording, as if putting an end to something between us. "What does this mean?" I asked. Jason looked down at me, his tone bitter. "You saw everything yesterday. Aren't you afraid of me?" "I'm sick. I'm a madman." I'm not afraid," I interrupted, my resolve seemingly taking him aback as his eyes momentarily filled with tears, but quickly, he deflated, speaking in a downcast and listless tone. "Don't say things like that, Joyce." He sighed heavily, as if all his strength had left him. "I'm scared." I instantly understood. He was afraid this was just a whim of mine, afraid I would abandon him, afraid to have something only to lose it again. I stepped forward, wanting to embrace him, to show him my commitment wasn't fleeting. But Jason stepped back. "Joyce, let's just be classmates. I won't cross the line, and you, don't push me." He spoke quickly. "I'm sorry. I won't walk you home then. Take care on your way," he said. He turned around and fled in panic. Jason, I didn't understand. Why? He liked me. He wanted to confess his feelings to me. So why is he backing away now? Jason ran a great distance before he finally slowed down. His phone in his pocket kept ringing incessantly, always the same number. He didn't want to answer it at all, but eventually, he did. "Hello." On the other end, the voice of a man was calm and stern. "Why aren't you answering your phone? Why did you turn off your location services and unplug the surveillance?" 3 consecutive whys made Jason feel suffocated. This morning, when he had gone to the hospital to get his medication, he had already answered a call. The caller on the other side angrily questioned why he was still harming himself, asking if he was in love with Joyce. "Does your little desk mate know you have a mental illness? Does she know you harm yourself every day, that you need to take medication every day? Do you think her kind words mean she's interested in you? She's just pitying you, trying to comfort you. I hope you don't end up like your mother, treating love as your only pursuit, utterly lacking in ambition." The morning's words still echoed in his ears. The voice from the phone continued relentlessly. "You've grown bold over the months, not just talking back but daring to defy me outright. It's just a few words from me, and you dare to unplug the surveillance and turn off the location services. What, you want to die out there? I'm putting so much effort into this for whom? Humph, if it weren't for your mother's despicable and ruthless tactics, do you think I'd bother to care about you, a lunatic? Do you think Joyce would like a lunatic? Don't delude yourself. Someone like you isn't worthy of her." Jason suddenly let out a low, unsettling laugh, prompting passers-by to instinctively steer clear of him. He said, "Yes, I'm a lunatic. I'll turn the surveillance back on now, and then, let you see a corpse. How about that? Or maybe I'll turn on the location services, and you can guess where you'll find me, in the river, at the station, or in the morgue." Jason's words grew increasingly manic. "What to do? I really want to die, Father." He deliberately emphasized the word father. The person on the phone fell silent. Jason laughed louder and louder. "Father, shall I go and die now? Would you prefer I get hit by a car or jump into the river?" "You, Jason." Jason quieted down, listening to the intense breathing on the other end of the phone. He chuckled. "If you don't want me dead, then never let me hear those 3 words from your mouth again." Her name. Merely uttering it, he felt was a desecration. A beep beep sound came from the phone. The other side had hung up. Jason looked up at the evening sky. Joyce, God knows, when he heard the words "I like you," his whole body was boiling with excitement. But, oh well, I'm going to hurt you, Joyce, I'm sorry." Jason fell to the ground, covering his face as he sobbed. He longed for her yet couldn't bear to hurt her. He was greedy yet dared not make a move. Living is so difficult. Ever since I confessed my feelings, Jason stopped coming to school. Being in the 3rd year of high school, I was too busy to visit him. I could only wait for the weekend to check on him at his house, but to my surprise, Jason had moved away. Even the teddy bear doorbell was gone. Looking at the bare black door, I felt a heavy sadness. When I got home, my dad noticed my troubled expression and asked, "What's wrong? Is school too much for you?" I shook my head and remained silent. During dinner, my dad